I bow to all the seekers of truth. At the very outset, we have to understand that truth is what it is. We cannot conceptualize it. We cannot organize it, and we cannot use it for our own purposes. Moreover, with the blinkers on both the sides like a horse, with all our conditionings, we cannot find the truth. We have to be free people. We have to be open-minded people, like scientists, to see for ourselves what is the truth. If somebody preaches something, professes something, says something, is not to be accepted blindfolded. As I told you yesterday, that the essence of all the religions is to find the eternal and to treat the transitory in its own understanding and in its own limitations. That's why we have lost our balance. If we are really the people who want to know the truth, we have to know that at human awareness we cannot know it. It becomes a concept. You have to have the spiritual awareness, but spiritual awareness is a state of your being, where you become the spirit. Again the word I'll say become is not artificially certifying somebody that now you have become a Hindu or a Christian or a Muslim, you become anything. Because you may be a Muslim, Christian, Hindu, anything, you can commit any sin. You can do anything that is wrong. Nothing from inside is going to stop you. So all these things have become so much outward that now there are people who have started saying there is no God, there is nothing like religion, which is not true. First of all, when we say there is nothing or there is not God, we should find out, have we been able to find out about it, or just in our ego we are saying there is no God? Have we been able to work it out to see if there is God or not? You do not judge God by the people who talk about God. Anybody can talk about God because they think there's no law that can catch them. They can talk against Him, they can talk for Him, they can do the way they like. They can even make money by talking against God and against all the prophets. That's a very good way of making money, blackmailing. But does that mean that whatever is written is a Bible? Or whatever is black and white is to be taken that seriously? So first of all, we have to be little independent, to be free, to know that if you have to know the Spirit, as they said, know thyself, then you have to know it on your central nervous system. As I can feel this is cold or hot, you have to feel the divine power which is all-pervading, which is the truth, which manifests the truth because it is the love of God. You have to first feel it on your central nervous system, which is the Bodha. Now one may say that in the West we have advanced so much, all right, we have gone too far with everything. But if you see, when we started with science, what have we produced? Hydrogen bomb, atom bomb, all kinds of devils sitting on our heads. You take to any enterprise that we take, we go to extremes. There is no balance. Any mental projection is linear. It moves in one line and then recoils back, and then you are shocked. Now you have got acid rain, you produced machinery, all right. Machinery is for you, you are not for machinery. And thus there is no balance between you and the machinery, no balance between you and the science. It's just like going amok with anything that you get into your hand. And this balance you can only have when you become the spirit. You see beautiful chandeliers here, beautifully made, but unless and until there is light, what is the meaning of these chandeliers? Nothing. In the same way, if you do not have the light of the Spirit shining in your attention, you will not know your meaning. Like this instrument. Unless and until it is connected to the mains, it is useless. Unless and until we are connected to the mains, we do not know the absolute. And that's why all these problems are there. Now, when I am talking about this instrument which lies within us, one has to again know that this is the knowledge of the roots. And to know the knowledge of the roots, you have to become a subtler personality. With a gross mind, you cannot see it. To become the subtler personality, minimum of minimum, you have to know that so far you have not known the roots. If you had known, there would be no problem. But there's something has gone wrong somewhere. In every human enterprise, even in religions, that's why today we find this kind of a farce going on. And what is gone wrong is that we have to seek the eternal. Maybe it might look little different. For example, Buddha and Mahavira did not talk about God at all. I also did not talk about God for 4 years, at least 3 years. As soon as you talk of God, again people start jumping. When can we become God? This is the first question. So first you become the self, the first step. That's why they did not talk. They said first you become yourself. Unless and until you have your eyes, how can you see the colors? So first have your eyes. It is for your benevolence that you better get what you deserve. What is your own? It's your birthright as a human being to become the spirit. That is what Sahaja Yoga is. Saha means with and Jai is born. Born with you is the right. To get this yoga is the union with the divine. Is your birthright. As a human being, you are, as I told you, at the epitome of evolution. And it has to work out. But please open your hearts and open your minds. Just open it and see for yourself. It will work. I know yesterday it has worked, it is going to work out today also. But by thinking about it, you cannot conceptualize. This is the biggest problem of our seeking that we run after some sort of a concept. Now here you have seen this instrument is the most beautiful instrument that is created within us during the process of our evolution. The first one is the most beautiful one because it stands for our innocence. This innocence is the one which gives us real support, real strength. And you'll be surprised, it is never destroyed. It may be overshadowed, there may be clouds, maybe it may look to be a very dark sky, maybe a hopeless case. Some people might say that we have destroyed our innocence. It cannot be destroyed. Whatever you might have done, this is one center which cannot be destroyed. You may have problems with it, but it cannot be destroyed. It is such a wonderful center you have got, which has got 4 petals, which looks after the pelvic plexus, looks after all the excretion within us. In our own freedom, so-called, we do all kinds of things which may not be benevolent for ourselves. Doesn't matter. Kundalini cannot be destroyed. The source which is going to give you the self-realization, I say she is your individual mother. And this mother is such a loving mother. And she knows each and everything about you from your past lives. She knows you very well. She's just waiting for a chance that she can be awakened and she can give you your second birth. When you were born, your mother suffered for you. You did not suffer. So to say that Kundalini awakening gives this kind of a nonsense and that kind of a nonsense is all falsehood. Absolutely falsehood. And it is so absurd that how can a mother give you problems? I mean, I don't know about, some mothers are funny also. That's all human problems. But this is a divine mother. She's not going to give you trouble. But these problems that have come are coming from people who have no authority, who have no education, who do not know what Kundalini is. Some say it is in the stomach, some say in the head, some say in the legs. Those who have no character of their own, because they have to be pure people themselves, try all kinds of nonsensical tricks and create problems on the sympathetic nervous system, and they call it as something that it is the problem of the Kundalini. Kundalini will never give you any problems. On the contrary, when she rises and when you get your awakening, the first thing that is established is thoughtless awareness. For a thought rises, falls, another thought rises, falls, and the Kundalini makes the thoughts smaller and in between at the present. It makes you stop in the present and you grow in the present, and the thoughts, if you want to think, you can think. If you don't want to think, it's not like a madhouse going on all the time, you don't know how to stop it. This works out with the Kundalini's awakening when she crosses this center of ours, which we call as Agya Chakra. Now, we should not have, again I say, blinkers about Christ. Let us see what people have to say about Christ in other Shastras and scriptures. Who was he? Because people did not allow him to manifest for more than 4 years, and in 4 years what can you do? You cannot do anything. I must tell you, in London, I came, my husband was selected for a job, and that's how we are here. And for 4 years I was struggling with 7 of them, just struggling. Giving realization was such a difficult subject to the English people at that time. They are hard nuts, I know, but once they break, they are the best. I think the best are the hardest. And it worked, it clicked. I am surprised that I had to work very hard, but they are such a foundation of Sahaja Yoga. Immediately they went all out, and very scholarly also, lot of scholarship with them. Found out all about Kundalini, everything from wherever is, your libraries are so well equipped. And I was surprised, it was all there. They studied Sanskrit. Now can you imagine these people, English, singing Sanskrit song with that speed? Wow. They could not even say one sentence in Hindi when they were in India. 300 years they were there, they could not speak one sentence, you'll be surprised. We had to tell them in English how to speak Hindi. Like you have to say, open the door. Is in Hindi is darwaza khol do. They couldn't say it. So we had to say, there was a banker, or something like that, means close the door. There was a banker. They couldn't speak Hindi. Sanskrit, very far off. And now look at them. What has happened to them? And Indian music is such a difficult music, you have to really, it's a question of penance, tremendous penance. Now we have people who play beautiful tabla, beautiful instruments, not only but sing so well. Swiss, the hardest nuts you can ever think of. They are, you'll be amazed, the Swiss, the way they sing. Tremendous manifestation in such a short time. Of course, they can also sing English very well. They know English music very well, or which has Western music very well. But to learn these difficult melodies of India is remarkable. I am myself surprised at this. So what happens in the second centers when it enters? You just become dynamic, because the second center is for aesthetics and for creativity. Now we have, like my brother was a chartered accountant. He was very bad at all the languages. Very bad, of course, Sanskrit was out of question. Now he is making poetry in Sanskrit and in Urdu language, and also in Marathi, which is the most difficult language. This is the second center. When Kundalini nourishes that center like a very beautiful mother, she nourishes. You must have heard about some great artist, Amjad Ali, he was here. After realization, he became such a great artist. There are so many artists. In India, they understand. They want to sing before me. I mean, I don't know how to say that now only one person can sing. Because their Kundalini goes up and the creativity becomes so tremendously active and so dynamic. At the same time, that person becomes very mild, very sweet, very compassionate. Like there's one great singer, she's a Muslim lady, I will not name her. She wanted to sing and she sent me word, please allow me to sing in your birthday. I said, all right, give her a chance. So she came down. And the lady who was playing harmonium, she came and told me, this lady is just an atom bomb. You don't know how she gets angry. There's one note I play wrong. I saw her, but she was very silently playing, nothing doing. She never got angry with anyone. So in the interval, this lady comes and tells me that, see, in your presence, I don't know what has happened to this lady. This tiger has become like a cow. How is it? I said, see, her Kundalini has come up. So this violence, this anger, this temper is not your creation. It's the creation of your liver. your liver is little out of order because of many things, and the temper is there. Now, when that temper is too much, you don't know what to do. I mean, you can do whatever you like. In your temper, after all, it's like a drunken personality. You have to approach a person in a temper with a barge pole. But all this temper, everything becomes so cool and so beautiful. It's very surprising. A very dynamic person becomes extremely compassionate. Extremely compassionate. And I've had such beautiful experiences of their compassion that it's not easy to describe. Now, also they say that there are certain nationality which has got a trait like this and a trait like that. Everything dissolves. Everything dissolves because of this center, which is so creative and which also gives you the manifestation of pure knowledge. Pure knowledge. For example, you start feeling on your fingertips. You just start feeling on your fingertips. Like today only somebody came and told me that, Mataji, my Agya is catching. Agya is the center. Means I have got my ego on. Will anybody say like that? On the contrary, if you tell somebody you have got your ego, they'll show you they have their ego on. It's very dangerous to say to somebody your ego is on. But just because of self-knowledge, pure knowledge, you know that this Mr. Ego is sitting here and I cannot cross through, and there's a blockade here which I have to take it out. It's so innate within you, everything. Only thing is, your connection has to be made. Once the connection is made, immediately you know about yourself. And this center, which is responsible for creating all kinds of funny thoughts and horrible creativity, becomes so benevolent, so soothing, so beautiful. Apart from that, as I told you just now, these people who could not even say one word in Hindi language have started singing Sanskrit, and this, especially the one they sang, the first one, many Indians cannot sing that way, I can tell you. They can't. It's not easy. It's a very great tongue twister, first of all, the language is. Apart from that, to sing in such a correct pronunciation is so difficult, but they have done it. So, in Sahaja Yoga, an artist who is struggling today may become a great artist tomorrow. But still I would say these are temptations. You'll become a great artist, you start earning more money, this, that. But that's not the one you have to really be satisfied with. You will never be satisfied with that. So you move to the third center, which we call as the Nabhi Chakra. This center is, on one side, is made of water, another side with fire. Around it are our 10 valencies, which we can call as our innate religion within ourselves. Now this Nabhi itself, or we can call the solar plexus, or we can say the navel chakra, gives us, as soon as the Kundalini rises, she awakens this, and the light, when it spreads, you become religious. I don't have to tell you anything. You just become. I don't have to say that you don't take drugs. You just don't take it. Overnight I have seen people have given up drugs. Overnight alcoholism, overnight everything. And they enjoy their virtues. That's the best part of it. Some people think, oh then what is the fun? What is this that you take something in the pub and next day you have hangover. Here you take something and next day you are much better off. It never comes down. It never gives you a reaction. It's not artificial. It's not intoxicating. It is from your nerves, it's bubbling out. So this is the center which is very important in us, because most of us have a problem with this center. And here we have a capacity by this center that we enjoy our generosity. Now all matter, whatever it is, we are materialistic, it's a good idea to be materialistic. But the matter is, the aesthetics of matters are that you can give it to others, suggesting you are loving it. I think that's the only thing a matter can do. And in a very special way you can express that love. For example, somebody likes a particular thing, you go all the way to get it, and give that small thing, very small thing, to the person, and the joy, not out of the money that you have spent, but the feelings you have expressed of knowing what that person would love. And this kind of a depth develops within you such lovable, beautiful society you enter into. And you don't need anything because everybody is looking after your needs. Now I have told them I love flowers because I don't take anything else. So you must see whenever I come, my house is so filled with flowers that my husband was saying, let us go live in the garden and let the flowers be here. So you see, the joy of giving comes from this center. And whatever you eat, whatever you have to eat, whatever is good for you, you eat. You don't have to bother as to what to eat, what not to eat. You just eat whatever is good for you, benevolent for you. You become so wise. And also you please others. You don't displease others by saying, this is bad food, I want that. I want goes away. What do you want? So like you could say, a candle which is not enlightened is waiting to be enlightened, is asking for the light. I want light. But once it is enlightened, it gives light to others automatically. Supposed to be. In the same way, you also start giving your light, your love, your joy to others. Automatically. I don't have to tell you. Nobody has to go through any 10 commandments anymore. Those days are gone. Now automatically you become like that. Very beautiful people, very affectionate and glorious, I should say. If you see the glow on the face of Sahajogis, the face itself is radiant. Many people drop out their 10 years to 20 years in their age, and they are so enthusiastic, never get tired. Especially in England, I've seen, or also in the West, I would say everywhere. People get very easily tired. On the television also you'll find people will come and sit down. Young people, they'll talk 10 times, they'll say, why are we so tired? Because we think too much. All energy is wasted in thinking, so no energy left to enjoy anything whatsoever. For example, you have to have people for dinner. You think what to bring, how to make it formal, what to do, this thing, that thing, so agitated and so nervous about the whole thing. When the guests come in, they feel like running away. Because so much of tension of thinking, planning. Ultimately, the whole joy has disappeared. So, the second center which is there, it does a very miraculous thing, is to provide the grey cells in our brain when we are using it for thinking. And also it looks after your liver, your pancreas, your spleen, your kidneys, and lower part of your abdomen. Instead of doing that, poor thing is busy only sending grey cells to your brain because of thinking like mad. So you develop all other diseases, liver trouble, which is very common. Then you develop diabetes, very common. Yesterday at least there were 10 people who said we have diabetes. Now diabetes you do not develop by taking too much sugar, take it from me. In India, if you go to a village, you will see that he takes sugar in such a manner that in the cup the spoon must stand at right angle, otherwise he won't take. And he never gets diabetes. The reason he doesn't think of tomorrow. He just works hard, eats his food and sleeps off nicely. He doesn't take sleeping pills either. So this diabetes comes by overthinking and can be easily cured if you can take to Sahaja Yoga, which I'll tell you how we stop our thinking at this, I've already told you at this point. Then the third disease, which is even more dangerous than this, is the disease which we call as blood cancer. Blood cancer is caused only to people who think too much. It can even be to the children if the mother is very meticulous, particular about her carpets out, her house, everything, And even a rat doesn't enter that house. But she's very careful that all her things are properly done. Her sink doesn't have even so much of little bit of a spot left in it. And all the time thinking, planning. This affects the child. And a child also can get blood cancer. Blood cancer, you get it because your spleen is a speedometer. It's the one which gives you the rhythm of life. Now when we are hectic people, all the time under shock, then this goes out of order. For example, in the morning we get up, see the newspaper, and what you find? These Iranians have killed someone. Such a shock. Then an accident. Then, newspaper will never give good news, will they? Will they give news how many people got realization or something is working out all right? No. Something horrible. That should shock your head, shock your limbic area. Otherwise you will not take it seriously. So, once you read that, you don't know your system is a very delicate system. It gets a shock. And then you get into your car without taking your breakfast, or maybe in your hand is the breakfast because you are late. On the way there's a jam, you are shouting, screaming. Somehow or other you reach the office and there's the boss barking. This is how we live. Under complete tension. We are supposed to be free people. In the night, if you sing loudly, the neighbor will come and put you to the police station. You can't do anything. There's no freedom. You have to be bound by the watch. This is the time exact, you have to reach there. So all these things, pressures and all these things work on us and we become hectic. And for emergency, this spleen is the one which releases red blood corpuscles, RBCs. But if you are all the time like this hectic, that poor spleen becomes mad. It doesn't know what to do. It starts producing more cells, and then it thinks it's a mad person I'm fixed with, because I don't know when to act, when not to act. So the vulnerability is there, and suddenly with some other shock, he might get blood cancer. And the doctors will certify, you are going to die after 1 month, finished. Prepare for your burial. And the whole house is crying. But we have cured, Sahaja Yoga has cured blood cancer of many people just by this Kundalini awakening. Because as soon as the Kundalini is awakened, too much movement this side and that side, this all the time going on in the center. This is the left and the right side of the sympathetic. So just the Kundalini passes through, strings through, and brings it back and nourishes it. The problem is over. And though they were certified to be dead, after even 4 years they are all right, working all right. The certificate is cancelled. Even vulnerability to cancer or to all incurable diseases are because of the centers going out of place. Now we have the center which we call here as the heart center. It controls the left and right both. So we have a left and right heart in Sahaja Yoga. As you know that in childhood till the 12 years of age, the thymus, this sternum bone creates the antibodies for you. And these antibodies fight your diseases. So when this center goes out, this is the center which sends all the messages to these antibodies. Now this is the center of a mother. When your motherhood is challenged, you develop breast cancer. Supposing a man is a flirt and his wife is worried, she might get a breast cancer because her motherhood is challenged. And her sense of security is very disturbed. As a result of that, she gets this problem. Also, if you are too much of a thinker and you think too much and you are very, what we call the right-sided, the futuristic plans. People plan it for 10 years. They plan even their deaths, what dress they are going to wear and where they are going to be buried. Up to that point. All this futuristic planning creates such tremendous heat in the body because the liver, which is supposed to absorb all the heat, is neglected by this center. As a result, that heat travels up and you develop asthma. Now we have, yesterday, at least 5-6 people who came with asthma. Asthma is absolutely curable. But do you know, this is the center of a husband or of the father. Now if I am telling you, you should not be shocked because later on you will find it. Now if you are a bad husband, you can get asthma. Or if your wife is a shrew, you might get an asthma. Or if you are a very bad father, you might get an asthma. Or if your father is not kind to you, you might get an asthma. If you have not forgiven your father, you might get asthma. Now can you believe it? just forgiving your father, you can get out of your asthma permanently. Sahaja Yoga has cured asthma of so many people. Believe it or not, it works. It looks so funny, but our relationships, our parents, we have chosen when we came on this earth. I know they are wrong, they are obstinate, they are headstrongs, they may be drunkards, whatever they are. But even if you leave them, because so many people leave the parents, still forgive them and forget. Otherwise you carry the problems with you. The left heart is the place of the mother. Now if your mother has been hard with you, if you have had very bad experiences, you will have problems of the left heart. Center heart is very important, where your sense of security should be established. You will be surprised in the disease called AIDS, is the center heart which is out. We have tried to cure, and we cured also 3-4 people from AIDS, but they have no willpower to continue with Sahaja Yoga. They want to die. And they have made a martyrdom out of it. You see, they are martyrs, great martyrs of a great principle they have established. It's impossible to convince to them that this is unnatural that you are doing and that you should give it up and you should live. Why should you die? No, we are martyrs for such a big principle we have established. To do something out of the way and new is the modern fashion. Anything. They'll do something with the hair, with the nose, with the eyes, with the ears, with the clothes. That's all you can do. To such an extent that they do not realize that whatever is new may not be good for you. For example, every day we eat our dinner. Supposing we want to eat the table because it's a new, is it a sensible thing? Anything that is new is not good. But anything that is old may not be good also. So you have to have that wisdom which comes to you through Sahaja Yoga. There's no other way out. You have to become the spirit and you have to see in the light of the spirit what is right and what is wrong. So then we come to this center which is we call as the Vishuddhi. This is 16 petals, looks after the cervical plexus. Now this is a very, very important center, and this is the center is for communication. For example, when you talk, you communicate through your hands, you shake hands, you touch somebody and you can communicate. Even if you cannot talk, with your hands you can communicate. Also when we think we are very responsible, the center goes out. Like some people were traveling by plane. They were from villages, they did not know what was a plane. They were told to take less luggage because it should not be a weight for the plane. So they got into the plane and put all the luggage on their heads. And they said that we are trying to reduce the weight of the plane. In the same way, we are also doing. Actually, the one which is all-pervading power, which has created this universe and has brought us to this level of human beings, is doing everything. But we think we are responsible. We have to do it. But once you become a Sahaja Yogi, you just do it, no doubt. But you don't think that you are doing it. You just say it's happening. And what a beautiful feeling it is. Then you don't have blood pressures, you don't have headaches, you don't have tensions. No, because we are not doing it, it's just done. And you find it's all done. Now on this center when we come, as I told you, your thinking is controlled by you. You can control. If you want, you can think or you don't think. But in that silence, you feel your peace. If there's too much of crowds, too much of problems, suddenly you become the witness. You start seeing everything, seeing the problem, what it is. Unless and until you can see the problem, you cannot solve it. Because you are in the problem, you just get upset. But if you are out of the problem, you can see it. And that's what happens to you when you become thoughtlessly aware when this center opens out. Last but not the least is the center of limbic area, which is very important. Now, I do not know it has been discovered or not, but will be very soon discovered that very strong things like cracks and all that have got sulfuric acid in it. And that doesn't go anywhere in the body, just rushes into the limbic area. Now, this limbic area is a hollow place, which has got all cells here very sensitive to joy, happiness. But they become numb. So numb that ordinary music you cannot hear. Somebody has to scream at you, has to shout at you, he has to jump on it. Otherwise you cannot enjoy. Then it has to be worse and worse and worse and worse. I don't know, now with cracks, later on they might develop something even more poisonous. Because it has to excite this limbic area, which is such an important thing. But as soon as the Kundalini enters into that area, limbic area, she soothes it, and it opens like a lotus, 1,000-petal lotus. It opens, and then the Kundalini emerges out of your fontanelle bone area and gets connected to the all-pervading power. Then you start feeling the cool breeze in your hand. You can feel it all over. Some people in the beginning who felt cool breeze would not believe it. So they closed doors, everything, and sat down to see. Still they were feeling it. But it works. Works in the sense that you get empowered. You become peaceful. You become the witness. You become the wise. And you become empowered that you can give realizations to others like this, that you can raise their Kundalini like this, and you can establish that connection. You can do it. And this is what is your right to have it. This is what will give you meaning. Otherwise, so far, whatever we have been doing is very frustrating.